Although the sketch is humorous, the Saudi law that inspired it was partly responsible for a recent tragedy. A fire in March 2002 killed 15 young girls in their school when the religious police refused to let them exit the building because they were not wearing their abayas and head coverings. 50 more were injured. Despite recent attempts at reform, some women remain faithful to their traditional Saudi beliefs.
The female is not like a male. They are not equal. I believe that's so. Not in this country, not in any other place. They are not equal at all. Because
Suzanne is a married mother of 3 and works as a hospital administrator. Like many Saudi women, Suzanne asks her husband's permission for everything, including shopping for groceries at the corner store.
Do you think then that in some way that women are weaker than men?
as you know, in our Islam, it says the female is not always can be a good judgment because of many reasons. One of that reasons that she has some harmonic changes that not happen to the males. These changes could make you with stress, sometimes nervous. That, of course, affect your decision, of course.
I was surprised to hear a view normally held by conservative men coming from a young working mother. I asked her whether she felt restricted living in such a closed society.
I want to do anything I can do. I'm free to do anything. I have no problem with that.
Suzanne told me that she left her job at a private hospital because its dress code was too liberal. Now she works at a hospital run by the government.
I worked there for a while, but I'm covering my face, and that was not allowed in private hospitals here in Jeddah. Yeah, it's not allowed for you to cover your face. And that's why I stopped working there, and I started working.
I wrapped up by asking Suzanne if she felt distanced from other women around the world.
No, it's not this way at all. It's not this way. The truth is, Saudi female is just as any female in the world.
Suzanne's views were in line with the most conservative Muslim clerics, the very people who were hindering reform efforts in Saudi Arabia. Yet I found there were places where reforms were seriously discussed. Every week, a group of men and women got together to talk about a wide variety of issues, from the role of the royal family to the preservation of Saudi culture. They told me that the government was monitoring their meetings and had already issued a warning to them to keep away from sensitive political issues. Despite the progressive nature of this group, the meeting was segregated. Men sat on one side of the room and women sat behind a screen on the other.
The lecture will begin with the idea of the scale and its uses.
We had barely begun filming when the nervous host asked us to turn off our cameras. A few people at the gathering had objected to our presence. In the past, Saudi reformers have been jailed for long periods. Nobody at this gathering wanted to take that chance. After we shut down our cameras, honest discussion began. The participants spoke about the imbalances in Saudi society and discussed ways in which they could help bring about change. Given such harsh restrictions, I wondered, how could real reform take place in the kingdom?
Finally,
We're very fortunate that we've been allowed to bring a camera into the home of these Bedouin women because they observe strict part of that, which is they do not come in front of cameras or in front of other men. They're still weaving carpets and practicing traditional handicrafts. They haven't adopted the ways that the people in the city have. They don't have any cell phones. They're not using any cars, for example. And so I've come to realize that these women are going to live like this for years to come.
The longer I remained in Saudi Arabia, the more I felt the struggle between the modern world and Arab traditions. Amid this tension, the royal family was committed to reform, establishing women work centers and funding substantial scholarship programs for women. But the most surprising of the reforms had just been announced. In February 2005, the royal family would allow the first nationwide elections in its history. These elections would let Saudi citizens choose local representatives who would supervise roadways as well as electricity and water utilities. But the rules were unclear. Would women be allowed to run for office or even vote? No official decision had been made, but 3 women announced their candidacy. None of them were willing to speak with me on camera. So 3 women that are running for elections from all across the country are too scared to even show their photograph in the English language newspaper here. And that's why they've refused to speak with us. They've got so many pressures on them. They're scared for their lives. Finally, by agreeing not to broadcast the documentary until after her campaign had ended, I was able to interview Nadia Bukherjee, the first woman to declare her candidacy.
This was in a competition against other design offices, so I was very proud to win first prize on that. That's a headquarter building for a local corporation.
Nadia runs a highly respected architectural firm, and her success is evidence of how far Saudi women have come in recent years. But there are still obstacles.
Being a woman in a man's field, obviously there are certain restrictions. For example, on certain projects you miss out because you can't be there networking with the client, and you know, you purely have to rely a lot on your reputation and word of mouth.
Nadia is no stranger to confronting the traditions of Saudi society. And to her, the elections represented another challenge.
You know the dining room where we have that large span? Yeah. Where is that? The men are very positive, saying that it's about time that the ladies take initiative and do something themselves, because they feel that things will only move forward if women push them forward. Hello?
Surprisingly, Nadia's biggest critics have been women.
To me, I don't think I'm doing anything against my religion or my culture or my upbringing. If anything, I'm taking initiative, I'm taking a positive step forward. That should be commended.
What would be your level of disappointment if you were told tomorrow that women aren't allowed to hold office?
Well, after getting motivated and you know, getting all this momentum going, I think I'd be pretty disappointed. Because
women like Nadia could change the future of Saudi Arabia, but they needed Saudi men to support them. I was soon reminded how hard that could be. Later that evening, we were filming on the streets of Jeddah when the army arrived. 2 jeeps filled with soldiers surrounded us and demanded to know what we were doing. Like the religious police, these soldiers had the ability to confiscate our footage and even arrest us.